From an environmental perspective, what are the spaces that have historically led to unusual rates of creativity and innovation? And what I've found in all of these systems, there are these recurring patterns that you see again and again that are crucial to creating environments that are unusually innovative. One pattern I call the slow hunch, that breakthrough ideas almost never come in a moment of great insight, in a sudden stroke of inspiration. Most important ideas take a long time to evolve, and they spend a long time dormant in the background. It isn't until the idea has had 2 or 3 years, sometimes 10 or 20 years to mature, that it suddenly becomes accessible to you and useful to you in a certain way. And this is partially because good ideas normally come from the collision between smaller hunches, so that they form something bigger than themselves. So you see a lot in the history of innovation, cases of someone who has half of an idea. There's a great story about the invention of the World Wide Web and Tim Berners-Lee. This is a project that Berners-Lee worked on for 10 years. But when he started, he didn't have a full vision for this new medium he was going to invent. He started working on one project as a side project to help him organize his own data.
What up?
He scrapped that after a couple years, and he started working on another thing. And only after about 10 years did the full vision of the World Wide Web come into being. That is, more often than not, how ideas happen. They need time to incubate, and they spend a lot of time in this partial hunch form. The other thing that's important when you think about ideas this way is that when ideas take form in this hunch state, they need to collide with other hunches. Oftentimes, the thing that turns a hunch into a real breakthrough is another hunch that's lurking in somebody else's mind. And you have to figure out a way to create systems that allow those hunches to come together and turn into something bigger than the sum of their parts. That's why, for instance, the coffee house in the Age of the Enlightenment or the Parisian salons of modernism were such engines of creativity, because they created a space where ideas could mingle and swap and create new forms. When you look at the problem of innovation from this perspective, it sheds a lot of important light on the debate we've been having recently about what the internet is doing to our brains. Are we getting overwhelmed with an always connected, multitasking lifestyle? And is that going to lead to less sophisticated thoughts as we move away from the slower, deeper, contemplative state of reading, for instance? Obviously, I'm a big fan of reading, but I think it's important to remember that the great driver of scientific innovation and technological innovation has been the historic increase in connectivity and our ability to reach out and exchange ideas with other people, and to borrow other people's hunches and combine them with our hunches and turn them into something new. That really has, I think, been, more than anything else, the primary engine of creativity and innovation over the last 600 or 700 years. And so, yes, it's true we're more distracted. But what has happened that is really miraculous and marvelous over the last 15 years is that we have so many new ways to connect and so many new ways to reach out and find other people who have that missing piece that will complete the idea we're working on, or to stumble serendipitously across some amazing new piece of information that we can use to build and improve our own ideas. That's the real lesson of where good ideas come from. That chance favors the connected mind.
So, friends, as you could see, wait a minute. Yes. As you could see, the connections, the collaboration have been the heart of discoveries in the past and will be so in the future. Many times we are very secretive, we are very possessive about our work, and the result is we might succeed in getting few publications in the short term, but when it comes to leadership in science, leadership in your profession, that often accrues to those who are open about their ideas and share them widely, and more people follow them and more people collaborate with them, and that's how the things take shape. So let's continue and see how one can conceptualize it. So there are two dimensions here: degree of self-governance, or you can even say the capacity, and degree of openness. When degree of openness is low and the capacity or self-governance potential is also low, then you have to induce innovation. People on their own are not able to develop. We call it heteropoiesis. It is from Anamika's thesis, PhD thesis. And heteropoiesis implies outside inducement for development of the self. The autopoiesis, as we discussed earlier, is when self-governance is high but openness is low. There is not much opportunity. Either the subject is so new that others can't contribute, or you do not think that at this moment you will get the feedback that you need. Then autopoiesis, self-design, self-correction, that becomes a kind of knowledge system where people then correct themselves rather than depending upon others. When the degree of openness is high and self-governance is also high, we do co-creation. So Wikipedia is a co-creation. People collaborate and then solve problems. And finally, when degree of openness is high and self-governance is low, as you will see example today, we have discussed it earlier, we will repeat that example of Gandhiji, then we go for crowdsourcing. We seek ideas from anybody in the world who can help us, because we don't have the capacity to solve it ourselves. our degree of self-governance, our potential is low. So in such case, we don't depend only on internal resources. We just discussed this. So I just made a few list of genomic analysis tool. Are you all using, those who are in genomics, are you using these tools, all of them? Anybody? Hello?
Sir, we are using a few of them.
Some of them. So my purpose in sharing is, who was it? Can you tell me your name?
Sir, it's Roshni Chaudhary from CSIR IGIB, New Delhi.
Okay, Roshni, what I would like is, if you can make a list of the tools with your annotation, which tool you recommend for what purpose, just
Yes, sir.
one page, just one page.
Hmm.
And others can then comment. You can even do it on a Google document and share the link on the email. All right.
Sure, sir.
AcSIR 2023 @gyan.org. So if you share at that link, at that mail, then everybody will get it. Rageshri, everybody will get it, or you will have to share with everybody?
नहीं सर, ग्रुप मेल के लिए AcSIR 23group@gyan.org है।
वो तुमने डाला नहीं उसका?
हाँ,
चलो
वो भी
ठीक है,
डाला है सर, वो भी
डाला है?
डाला है चैट में। हाँ।
ठीक है, ठीक। So if you want to send to us, then AcSIR 2023 @gmail.com with copy to me.
सर @gyan.org।
Okay, sure, sir.
Sorry, @gyan.org. And if you want to send directly to everybody, then you have the group mail, AcSIR 2023 group. Is that right? Rageshri?
AcSIR 23 group@gyan.org।
23, not 2023.
No, 23 only.
All right. Okay, good. So the purpose is that our collective intelligence, I don't know if you have used this phrase before, but collective intelligence is, if all of us pool our knowledge, each one of us will be wiser, isn't it, Roshni? So if you can share, then other students will share from other labs. And on each topic, on genomics, on computational data analysis, on AI, on other tools, we will have a rich depository of tools with annotation. Which tool should be used in what context? What are the limitations of the tool? Are there bugs in it? Are there errors in it? What precautions should we take when we use this tool? So in some sense, we will all have taught each other, including you will have taught me and us, as to how we can learn from the collective intelligence. Now, I put down some tools like this here, and this one on make your own lab equipment is very interesting. Joshua Pierce is a very eminent scholar in England who has worked and written a book, open source book, on how do you develop your own tools. And I'll show you his site in a minute. Then there is a protein database for chemical, biochemical, essential exploration. Similarly, there is an essential open source software for science. If you write on the web, you will find that link and you can go there and find out whole range of software that are available. Jupyter Notebook you just mentioned, data science, some of you just mentioned, open source website Ionosphere you mentioned just now, QGIS, one of you mentioned, and like that, there are some other tools that you have mentioned. So what I would do, I'll just show you a few of these tools, and you can see that. So, for example, essential open software for science. Now, there are a lot of software that are available here, and they have put down initiatives, and they support people who want to develop these softwares. And there are a whole range of, they give grants to those who are developing softwares. Some of you can try and search and then see how this community is evolving and how more and more openness is emerging. Similarly, science tools to learn in 2023. And here, data mining tools are there, open source data science tools, Vika for data mining, Scrappy, Pandas, and data, big analysis, big data tools, and so on and so forth. And then you can write to them and get them to share with you more. Now, this is very interesting. I will tell you about Joshua Pierce Open Source Lab. He basically tells you how to build your own equipments. And if you want to, you are facing, so 3D printable science equipments, 3D print exchange, 3D printable science equipment page, and different kinds of tools that you can work, develop them, automated 3D microscope, 3D printable open source, all these tools, portable device for microscopy, thermo and optogenetic experiment, unique open source quartz crystal microbalance. So anytime you need to take tools in the field and there, PNL smartphone microscope, PAX instrument, all these tools are in open source available. You can download from there, reprap.org/wiki, rep, rep.org. And you will find all these tools available, power monitoring system, probe positioning and micro manipulation for probe stations, micro pump, 1000 microliter micro pump. How can you do all of that? So it's very important that many times, you know, what happens is our imagination get constrained by the tools we have rather than by the tools we need to have. This is one major problem that arises in science. All the top labs, whether Oxford or Cambridge, wherever I have seen, people make their own equipments for doing specific experiments. But we often take the capacity or the functionality of the instrument given to us as a limit of our experimental scope, which is not necessarily the best way to make breakthroughs. So sometimes making one's own tool is helpful. I remember Dr. Lalji Singh in CCMB. I met him 20 years ago, first time when I met him, and he came back from Cambridge. And he used to make his own tools. There's a glass blower in CCMB, and he will get his tools fabricated there and then use them to do finer analysis. So it is important that open source tools library are used. There's a community there which will help you if you need to. So it is worthwhile pursuing this line of collaborative learning. Okay, let me go further. So this is a perspective where I have tried to argue that how the collaboration take place. So there are 4 dimensions here: access to resources, access to institutions, access to technology, access to culture, assurance, ability, and attitude. And attitude is very important. If we don't have attitude of collaboration, nothing else will help. Even if I'm very competent, even if I'm sure the other person is willing to cooperate, even if I have access to the person and the resources, I may not get. So it is important that we work on all the 4 A's. We look at access, we look at assurances, whether other person or assurance from the system, ability and attitude. We once mapped the climate relevant practices in our newsletter, Honeybee newsletter. And I'm just showing you all of these databases are open, as I told you already, and I'll mention briefly again. Now, all these databases are open at honeybee.org and can be accessed. But the purpose was that if you wanted to look at a practice, and one of you were mentioning on plant disease and NCL, you can look at the non-chemical way of plant disease. Non-chemical means herbal, and then extract chemical from those herbs and see whether they are safer and better and more effective. Now that takes us to a very important issue of reciprocity and responsibility. There are 4 kinds of partnerships that we are talking about in open innovation: high reciprocity and low responsibility. Can you imagine? Can you tell me what kind of partnership it will be? High responsibility, there's high reciprocity, but low responsibility. If I make an open database, and you can also submit your entry, neither I have confirmed yours, neither you know the reliability of the information that I'm giving. In good faith, I have shared. In good faith, you are sharing. The responsibility for its validity is low on both the sides, but reciprocity is high. So there are many databases, many entries in our database are not experimentally validated. Farmer has conveyed to us. We thought it was plausible. We did some prior art search, and then we published them or put them in the database. As a lead, you can call them as hypothesis. But we are sharing a lot. We are one of the largest provider of open source knowledge in sustainable agriculture and sustainable technologies. So naturally, our reciprocity is high, and people are also sharing with us. But responsibility for accuracy is low. High reciprocity and high responsibility. Now, this would be the case when all the knowledge, all the sharing is governed by scientific validity. People who are sharing also take the responsibility for the consequences of that knowledge. So, for example, if I share with you a herbal pesticide, I should be sure that it is not going to cause any toxicity, it is not going to cause any injury, it is safe. That's very important. Similarly, you, the person who is sharing, must also follow the same principle. So we can have exchange, a company and a scientist or a startup. If you go to the net and search on open source, you will find large number of reports in this year 2023 have come up, which are reviewing the relationship between corporations and startups. Almost everywhere in the world, in Europe, in US, in India is not as much. The companies are trying to learn from young people, and at mutually agreed term, but they are willing to share their problems so that anybody can reciprocate and participate in their R&D program. So R&D potential of a lab or a company or an institution is not governed by the knowledge pool within the lab. Now, once you open it up and invite students and scholars from other institutions, undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD, you cannot imagine how much more can you learn. So high responsibility, high reciprocity is a very powerful way of collaboration. Low reciprocity and high responsibility. Now, when a teacher teaches, he doesn't expect anything in return. And student also doesn't expect anything else except the knowledge. So there is, or sometimes it is one-way exchange. Today we tried that all of you will share your sources. So we have gone into higher responsibility, higher reciprocity and high responsibility. But otherwise, if it is one-way lecture, I will be sharing with a lot of responsibility. You will be hearing with a lot of responsibility, but reciprocity will be less. It will be one-way asymmetric reciprocity. So how do we convert situations of low reciprocity into high reciprocity by mutual interest, by mutual motivation, is one of the challenges, particularly in the teaching profession, but in all professions. And of course, the low reciprocity and low responsibility, any blog I share, there is no reason that what I have shared is rational or logical. You find so much of fake news, you find so much of what is called nowadays a deep fake and whole range of things which people manipulate the knowledge and information and share the doubts about, create misunderstanding. But that is because they don't take responsibility for what they're doing, and they don't care whether other people respond to that or not. So it's a very important tool. We discussed this triangle. I'll come to a playground, and I will like you to think of implications other than what I'm going to share. So we'll spend some time on it. We'll spend 25, 30 minutes on this because it posits 4 situations before us. One is, there are 2 sides, inside out, outside in. You can look at it yourself. You can look at it at the level of companies, at the level of institutions, at the level of lab, at the level of your department in the lab or your professor in the lab, the group that you have in the lab, how much you share with other students within the lab, other students within the institute, other students within the country, and other students globally. How much do you share? That is inside out. I am sharing my knowledge with others outside. The second side is outside in. How much am I willing to learn from outside? how much knowledge am I willing to take from other students, other scholars, other commentators, other critics, other reviewers, other users of my technology, potential users of my technology. So that would be outside in. So when both are low, as you can see here, it is ostrich. Doomed. I'm not willing to learn. I'm not willing to share. Where is the future? What is the future you have? No future. If you are willing to take lot from outside in is high, but inside out is low. You're not telling me what did you do with the knowledge. You said, okay, I'll pay you $10,000. Give me the compound which works like this. And from a lab, I share with the compound. I get $10,000. I'm happy. You make out of that $10 million, but you don't tell me. I'm not asking you to share more money. Tell me. So my confidence in my idea goes up. So these corporations act like a sponge. P&G is one of them. I'll show you the improvement they have made in their balance sheet, but they have not shared the consequences of taking a particular idea and what they made of it, so that the confidence of the knowledge provider goes up. Then there is outside in is low, but inside out is high. Do you know a company which has made all its patents open in a particular case? Anybody? Anybody? Can you guess? A corporation, a private sector multinational corporation has shared all its patents. Why would they do that?
Tesla.
That's right. Tesla has done
Yes.
it. And they shared their patents of batteries. All right. Why did they share? Can you tell me?
The answer that Elon Musk gave was that if you have flooding problem and if you have a brilliant design of a bucket, then it's wise to share it because we all are in the same boat.
So what happened was that they wanted to have, for electrical vehicles, you want to have more and more charging stations, isn't it? Now, charging stations will not be set up only for your brand or for only one company. Look at the foresight of this man. He said, if other companies want to use my battery technology and compete in the market, by all means, please do it. First of all, what I'm sharing is what my yesterday's knowledge is. Tomorrow, I'll have my tomorrow's knowledge, but I'm sharing yesterday's knowledge. You will be hooked on to my knowledge, my materials, my systems, my supply chain, and that's good for me. But at the same time, if you compete, there will be more charging stations. When there is a more charging station, more EVs will be coming in the market. So market will grow, I will also grow, you will also grow. That is a very democratizing principle, very open idea of sharing one's innovations with others. Not many companies have done that. Another company did something similar. IBM put a lot of their patents. IBM is one of the largest patent filing company. So they put a lot of their patents in $1 licensing. Now, why would they charge $1? Anybody guess? Any guess? They could have given it completely free. Why $1?
The same thing which we were discussing 5 minutes ago, that the people who are using the knowledge, they are getting the knowledge that who all are interested in spending that $1 and using my information.
What's your name?
Yash.
यश कहाँ से कौन सी लैब से हो?
Sir, IIM Jammu.
IIM Jammu. Yes, you're absolutely right. The cost, $1 is the cost of finding out someone who can use a knowledge which I found I couldn't use in my company. So I was giving it away, thinking that it is not relevant for me anymore. But there is someone in this world who finds relevance in it. Let me know who it is. So that cost of discovering or uncovering that rare user who can find use for something that I am unable to find use of is what I was charging $1 for. So it's a very interesting model that sometime you put your molecules that you have developed and you're not knowing what to do with them in open source, but you just put a small cost that I will give you the way how to make these, how to synthesize it. The whole process I will give you free, almost free, but I just need 100 rupees from you or 50 rupees from you. And essentially to find out who are the people who will use this molecule and for what purpose are they using. Why didn't I think about that purpose? Why didn't that purpose come to my mind? In some sense, you then discuss and in the process learn how mind works, how our mind works. And it works more creatively when it works more collaboratively. Please remember that. More collaboration makes my mind work more creatively. More solitude, more introvert, more alone, my mind works less efficiently. Now we go to the fourth quarter when both are high. I'm willing to share a lot and I'm willing to learn a lot. And I call that DB, big heart, big mind. दिल बड़ा, दिमाग बड़ा. ये जो जिनका दिल बड़ा होता है और दिमाग बड़ा होता है, दोनों बड़े होते हैं. दिल बड़ा होगा तो दिमाग भी बड़ा हो जाएगा. बड़ा होगा दिमाग, दिल भी बड़ा हो जाता है. It is possible. I'm not saying it is a rule in every case, but many cases, or maybe most cases. And then you share a lot and you learn a lot. And that is how Honeybee Network worked. We shared a lot. Our rule was, even in our Shodhyatras, we want to share first and seek later. Because our principle is very simple. Unless we share, we have no right to seek. So when you share something, and then you say, do you also know something of this kind? People are more likely to respond positively. So this is, I will now stop here and ask you to think of some application of this playground in your own work. Has anybody tried some model of this or a different model than this? I mean, I don't care whether this is the same model. Yeah, we will modify it if we will need to modify it. Anybody would like to offer example from your own life or someone whom you know who does it? You know Arvind Gupta? Anyone? अरविंद गुप्ता का नाम सुना है भाई? अभी नेट पे सर्च करोगे तुम लोग, किसी ने सुना है अरविंद गुप्ता का नाम? अरे आप लोग सब साइंस की फील्ड में हो बच्चों, यू शुड नो अरविंद गुप्ता. He was earlier in IOCA, AcSIR. Now he has a lab there. He's called as a science through toys. He has put 10,000. He has scanned personally 10,000 books. 10,000 books, both in English and in Hindi and other languages, and put them on archive.org. Archive.org is one of the largest repository of documents in open source. If you don't find something, go and search. There is a Gutenberg library and there is archive.org. These are the two sources where you are likely to find some old manuscript, old document that is not available in print anymore. Somebody might have scanned it and uploaded it. So Arvind Gupta shares all his experimental toys and other things for teaching science openly. He's one person who has shared more tools for learning science for children than anybody else probably in the country. And all free, doesn't charge anything for them, and enjoys and loves it. So that's one example where inside out is very high, outside in is low, because there are few people who contribute to his design. He has a group, sometimes they do, but by and large, his inside out is very high. So he's but he's willing to learn a lot. So he's in the DB category. Dil bada, dimag bada. So I am getting Samar Brahmachari online. I will just take his call if you all permit, because he might come to the class now or later. Hello. So there are about 330 students of PhD from different labs of CSIR with me today and tomorrow. And they will be later also. They're taking a course. And I quizzed them about OSDD, and of course, only one person knew a little bit. None knew about that philosophy at all. So I want them to not only know about OSDD, but OSDD kind of approach, thinking approach to science. So tomorrow you will have some time. 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock, whatever time. So I have sent you the link. and just make a short presentation, and then your sermon of why openness, why collaboration, how have you achieved tell them about Sahaj Path Online portal also, where teacher on call, I mean, what you have done I'm one of the evangelists, as you know, of your that platform. So then tell them about both. But first one is, to me, more relevant for our course, because I think it tells you how can breakthroughs be made, and how you mentioned once that the young student can lead a pathway, and there are senior people, eminent people following that person. That process of breaking the hierarchy will be very useful. These are PhD students of CSI lab. Yes. Online course. Yes. I'm teaching it, AcSIR. So I'll tell you that later. I will send you the outline. But do you have time tomorrow? So 5:45 tomorrow. Rageshri, please send the link of the course, Zoom link to Professor Samir Brahmachari. मेरे mail में है, उनको भेज देना. I will also write to you, send you the information, and if you can take half an hour, doesn't matter, but share how you think this approach can be part of everybody's scientific journey in life. I think that's more important. They should learn this as a tool of fertilizing imagination and creating solidarity and sharing culture in the science. Right? It is from AcSIR. That's, you had created that in your time, it was created. Yes. No, very true, very true. So I will come back to you then after the class, because class is on now. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Samir. Thank you. So friends, we will have Samir Brahmachari, former DG of CSIR, a brilliant scientist. And if you wish, we will also request Dr. Mashilkar to come one of the sessions. Samir was the one who conceived OSDD and led it to a particular level. And then, of course, it was not pursued later on. We changed leadership. Sometimes things change. That's all right. But the model stays. I mean, model as a conceptual tool stays with us. And I'm a great believer in that approach. So I think it'll be nice to hear from the horse's mouth tomorrow, 5:45. We will adapt our schedule accordingly to accommodate his presentation. So that's very nice. Now, let me hear from you. Any example that you have? Let us play on this innovation playground. I'm not hearing anything. Inside out, high low, outside in, high low. In any quadrant, you know of something, someone, or a problem that you think can be solved only in that particular quadrant, say so.
Sir,
Yeah.
there's one example. It's a little illegal example, but it exists. And it has been very helpful when I was in my dissertation, in my master's. So
Okay.
there's a website called Sci Hub.
Yes, I have.
So yeah, so what they do is that they take all the research papers from these paid journals and then they provide it for free. And they have been sued in many countries. They have been sued in India as well. But that was the only source for me during my master's to acquire those research papers to pursue my dissertation. So it was quite helpful for me and millions of students like me. So that's one example.
Yeah, that is the same that Russian lady has made.
Yes, sir.
I remember that. So it is very important that, no, somebody may say copyright, this and that, But how can a PhD student afford to pay 20 euro, 50 euro, 100 euro for a paper? I mean, that's impossible for them to do that. And there is a big debate going on in publishing industry also, because all of us review papers freely. We don't charge for our time. And still, those papers then become very costly for young scholars like you to access. So that's a good example of high reciprocity. Of course, no responsibility, low responsibility, because she's not taking responsibility for any consequence of that, which is fine. But at least reciprocity is high. But did you ever upload any paper yourself also? Huh? Yash, was it Yash or who was it?
Yes, sir. It was
Did
yes.
you
No,
upload
sir.
any paper on Sci-Hub?
No, sir. I have
Oh,
not
so
done that.
that means reciprocity has been low. So that
Yes,
is
yes,
where
sir. Yes, sir.
we should reflect on this. We consume a lot of global knowledge, but we don't contribute to the global knowledge. Yes, you don't know that some of your assignments, some of your papers might have been. Just 1 second. So it's very important that we change our download to upload ratio. We download a lot, we don't upload, as we discussed earlier. And I would strongly urge you to reflect. Anybody else? Anybody else? You have met somebody who shares his or her knowledge and tools and library and even lab equipments openly. Anybody can come and use them easily without, of course, with prior coordination. Very open to welcome students. Anybody? You don't have to tell the name if you don't want to, but basically we are looking for role models which signify what we are talking about in this playground.
Hello, sir. This is Lipsa from CSIR NIST.
Can you be louder, huh?
Sir, I am Lipsa from CSIR NIST.
Bolo.
So, sir, since we are talking about the open source drug discovery platform, so OSTD you talked. So, like that, in our group, we are also developing the open source drug discovery software, which is called Molecular Property Diagnostic Suite, which is also developed in the Galaxy platform. And also specific to different diseases. And MPDS has also been developed, firstly developed for tuberculosis. Next we have developed MPDS for this diabetes mellitus. Then currently in our group, we have developed the molecular property diagnostic suite for the disease COVID-19, which is
it at NIST Jorat or even?
It's at NIST Jorat only. It's hosted at NIST Jorat, but it can be accessible from anywhere the
So
world.
can you send a mail to everybody about this?
Sure, sir. I'll send. So
And
it
send
has
a copy to me also.
MPDS for the compound library, which contains nearly 150 million of compound, which is structurally classified.
150 million.
Nearly 150 million compounds, which is structurally classified, and each compound, each small molecule has its own ID number, which is called MPDS Aadhaar ID.
Oh my God, my goodness, wonderful.
It's
How many? Okay, let me do a small
Yes,
poll
yes.
now, or let me just check. How many of you knew? Raise hand. How many of you heard? I never heard about it, though I was on the advisory committee of NIST Jorat, and I went there once or twice, but I didn't know that. Dr. Shastri never told me about this. I'll complain to.
It's started from the year 2011, sir. So
but I went there a few years ago. I was a member of your
it's led by
RSC.
Professor G.N. Sastry, and he always talks about this wherever he goes.
For some reason he forgot to tell me. But such a powerful.
Yes, and now like it has a broad it's a very broad platform.
It is open access.
It's completely open access, sir. So it's developed on the Galaxy platform.
Put down on the chat.
Yes, sure, sir. I'll put the link, sir.
Put the link here and also share in the email.
Sure, sir. I will share the details in the email, sir.
Yes. But I mean, there are so many of the students from Triple IM and others who have not heard of it. And your work will be relevant. Your platform will be MPDS, you said, will be relevant for anybody with chemistry background, isn't it?
Yes, sir. It will be relevant for the chemistry background people as well as the computational biology background.
Computational biology people.
And sir, one more thing is currently we have involved the advanced module, which contains all the machine learning models. And in our group also, we have been developing the machine learning models, which is in-house. Like till now, we have developed the model for antiviral prediction, which can predict if you give some smile of the molecule, so it can predict whether this molecule is showing the antiviral property or not. So that has also been incorporated into the MPDS.
That's so during COVID, it helped in discovering something.
Yes, yes, sir. So we and also we have the natural product databases which are also integrated into that MPDS platform. We have the one natural product database which is called which is specific to Northeastern region, which is NEI MPDB, and that is the first database which captures all the Northeastern natural products. That is also freely accessible, sir. You can download all the natural.
We will find it very useful because we have a project of DBT in Sikkim. I don't know if Anamika is there, but in Sikkim as well as in Nagaland.
And we also elaborated that to Aushadhi also, which contains the pan-India natural products, phytochemicals.
So Anamika, you should put down your email again on the chat so that they can write. She can write to you also, and we should do that immediately for all our northeastern natural products. What will it tell us about those products?
It will contains all the phytochemicals, and it will give, if you search for any phytochemicals, like if you put any plant name also, it will show how many phytochemicals are involved in that particular plant species. So in our
And
group,
would it predict where it is likely to be useful?
It will have some properties, sir, like it will give some properties, but it won't predict. These are the databases, sir, two databases which I've talked.
Wonderful,
So
wonderful. I put our email also,
sure,
other
sure.
than the one that of the
I will
course,
send.
but meant to send it to the course also, send it to Anamika and send it to me also. But that's very, very insightful. And from what I'm hearing from the people on the chat, none of them have. Why was it kept as this? Sorry for using this word secret, but why hasn't known widely? क्या reason होगा इसका?
I think such this is all still also like we are developing it. It's strong. It's not strongly used, but it's been developed, sir. Like we are trying to. It's like there is no
link डालो ना, link डालो इस पर.
link, sir. I have already put the link. Again, I am putting. Sir.
अच्छा ये रहा Dr. M. Karthikeya. Let me see. The molecular property diagnostic suite. Let me try to show it to everybody. So this is the one, right?
Yes, sir.
MPDS.
So this is the one. If you go down, then you can see the MPDS for specific diseases. Here,
So
go little bit
disease.
down, sir.
All right. Okay.
Here it comes, sir. Tuberculosis.
And which is the link for the Northeast one?
Northeast one, sir. If you go down and click on MPDS COVID-19, sir. This one you just click here.
Oh, this page is not working. There may be some problem. You please check it up, huh?
Yes, sir. I'll check. I'm sharing these things.
So if you can
If
share.
you clear your history, sir, then I think it will come. So sometimes due to this heavy load, so it won't come.
History. Okay, let me clear the history. What do I do? Recently tab. How do I clear? How do I clear?
History, on the top, one delete option.
I've removed the history now.
Then you just
Let me clear it.
I hope will
clear. Let me clear. Okay, I've cleared the history. Now let me see. There's a problem in the link somewhere. You'll have to check.
Okay, sir, I'll check it
You
once.
check and then let us know. But this, we are very keen to know this because this is a amazing work that you have done. 150 million compounds, and then all natural product of Northeast. So you did all the screening of natural product for viral. Is that what you?
Yeah, this is not, sir, like only one person's work, like huge group we have been
No, I can
working.
understand. I can
This
understand.
is the tuberculosis, sir.
This is tuberculosis.
Yes.
But you said that you also come to know of all the constituent phytochemicals of all the plants.
Those two links, sir, I have said over here in our group that has the work has been done. Then we have also like put into our MPDs, like whoever wants to make use of the phytochemicals for any screening purpose or anything, they can easily use that phytochemicals through the MPDs also, because MPDs contains.
ODS, ADI, Aushadhi, is that the one?
Yes, also this is for the pan India, and NEI MPDB is for the northeastern region.
Okay. ये कॉपी कर लेते हैं इसको. I will like to. रागेश्वरी इसको कॉपी कर लो. मेरे से कैसे हो नहीं रहा ये. तो ऑनलाइन ये तीनों को कॉपी कर लोगे?
हाँ सर.
कॉपी कर लो सौरभ. So of course I'll save the chat also. And that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Let us see the Northeast one. So friend, this is the power of collaboration. Just suddenly we discover such a powerful resource, very vibrantly available in one of the CSIR lab, and the other labs know nothing about it. And I will send this information to Samir also, that tomorrow when he talks, he would show awareness about this also. MPDS needs to resolve.
I think sir has already known about this because one sir came here, so Sastry sir already mentioned to him. I don't know
Already
whether
mentioned
he
to him.
remembers
Okay.
or not.
Okay, but please convey to Dr. Shastri that I'm feeling denied the opportunity of learning. Why
Yes,
didn't you tell
I'll
me about
definitely
such
share.
a
He always
powerful,
talks about you, sir. When
such a great work, such a great work.
Thank you so much, sir.
I
Only
appreciate it
convey,
so.
sir.
Please convey my appreciation.
Sure, sir. Thank
And
you.
tell him that I wanted everybody in CSIR and around the world to know about it, not just in CSIR. But
Yes.
CSIR colleagues should use it. You are
Yes.
saying not many people are using it.
Yes, sir.
But now at least all the students in the class today have come to know, and large number of them are from chemistry related labs. So they will, I'm sure, use it. And friends, if you use it and find something valuable in it, do share with the class, also with the group in the East Joret, so that they also feel happy that their work has delivered results, has saved your effort, has put your labor to better use. Because there's no one who doesn't like a good feedback from the people. So if you share the feedback, I'm sure Dr. Karthikeyan and others will appreciate your feedback very much. So that's wonderful.
Sir, actually, I checked on with our technical team, so they are telling that they're maintaining the server. So by tomorrow, it should work like the
Very good, very good, very good. I mean, we'll wait for. But this is very useful, that integrated Northeast medicinal plant database. I mean, it is so valuable for us.
Yes.
You know, and I wish somebody would do that for other regions, Jammu Kashmir and other places also. Thank you so much. Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank you so much.
And
Sir.
let us give a big hand to her. I don't know, some of you can put it on your name,
Thank you so much.
but we should really appreciate Dr. Karthikeyan. This is wonderful. But you are at NCL now.
Sir, you are telling about me?
Huh?
No, sir, CSIR needs, sir.
But
This
your
is-
name shows NCL Pune.
Oh. No, sir, I'm from CSIR NIST only. My name is Lipsa.
Oh, Lisa. So then why Karthikeyan is coming? I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing. But the post was posted by Karthikeyan. Is that right? The post that you posted came from Karthikeyan, dear Dr. M. Karthikeyan. Or you are using his ID for entering the course. You didn't put your name in the. You are using Karthikeyan's ID. Is that right, Lisa? Hello. Please unmute yourself. I'm confused. So you are using somebody else's ID, is that right?
Actually, sir, something got confusion between. I think it's mistaken. Like, so
That's what I'm
it-
saying.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ID got mistaken. I don't know how, but and this is doctors, and now it's correct.
I changed.
Thank you so much. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much.
I was wondering what is happening here, and
Yes, I
good.
also did not check. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Lipsa Priyadarshi. Thank you so much, Lipsa.
Thank you,
We are
sir.
very proud of your work and your team. And this is such a good public good that you have created, available to everybody in the world, actually, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Actually, I
And
have joined just now, sir. Like 1 year, 2 years, I have joined. But before that, it's a huge work led by huge groups, sir. I have
no, I
just
understand.
continued
I
for very small
understand.
group.
I fully understand.
Yes.
But the question is, people working in chemistry had never heard of it. Now, why to talk about people in other disciplines? And this is the tragedy of following. I mean,
Yes.
not promoting, I would say, the open innovation model where everything that we do is shared widely. And I think this is where we need to really go forward. And okay, let's come back to
Yes.
the subject that we were discussing, and we will see how. Let me show.
Give me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a similar one. It's not mine, but there is one database called as Empath. I'm sharing the link in the chat.
Okay, let me just stop for a minute. What is that database you said?
IMPPAT, Empath. I have shared the link now.
Okay, I'm Pat.
So it is a database, open source database, a collection of phytochemicals from all the traditional medicinal plants of India. It is developed by Dr. Arijit Samal from Institute of Mathematical Sciences, Chennai.
Chennai. Oh, that's very nice. And also ebird.org is very nice, where I'm sure Anamika would find it useful because she's a bird watcher. And ebird.org, Anamika, you see that people can record and share any bird they see anywhere, so that the citizen science portal where you can, so to say, collaboratively create a global map of birds' movement and occurrence and all of that. Such a nice thing, such a nice thing. And in part, let me show that also to everybody. Jaitirth has shared this. Impact, Indian medicinal plant phytochemistry and therapeutics. Very useful. I have heard about that impact, but I have not used it as much as I should have. But that's a very good database. And it gives chemical structure, it gives for chemical classification, chemical structure you can download. And you mentioned therapeutics. Therapeutics is not mentioned. Maybe you have to go to another button here. So, very nice. How many of you knew about impact, friends?
Yes, sir, I have used
That's well
Impact.
known?
Yes, sir, I have used Impact.
You have used, okay. Okay, very good. So that's very nice. All right. Okay. So I would suggest that all such sources that you know, you will mail to ACSIR 23 group at gyan.org. Rageshri, can you speak out or my other colleague who is present, can ACSIR 23 group at gyan.org. I think this is the address, but anyway, send it to ACSIR 2023 at gyan.org. We will share it with everybody. But do mark a copy to ACSIR 2023 at gyan.org, and I copy to Anamika and me if possible, if you wish, and then we will be able to know that it has gone to everybody or not. That's very useful. All right, so let's go further. Now, this I had shared with you. Do you remember this? How many of you remember this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's
Yes, sir, we do.
only one thing that I want to show you today is how meticulous Gandhi was when he devised the boundary conditions of the challenge. So when we want to use challenge award as an open innovation model where we seek ideas from anywhere, then he will mention what is the, how much drudgery, how much of maintenance cost, what should be the cost, what could be the count of the yarn, and all of this maintenance not more than 5% of the cost not more than 150 rupees if it is for making it in India, etc., etc. So what is good about it is that if you specify the boundary conditions of the challenge, then you get the result as you got. So now let us look at the P&G story. And P&G story is very interesting. In 1999, R&D expenditure as a proportion of sale had increased from 4 to 7% proportion of sale, R&D expenditure proportion of sale. But the new product success rate was stuck at 35%. It had a large number of patents, but then less than 10% of these patents were being actually used. Stock price had come down from $118 per share to $52. This was the situation. Very depressing, isn't it? Then they changed the model. And they say, okay, let us do that connection across all markets. System is not working, and we need to get knowledge from outside. So then they began to work with 85 network, 120 universities, generated 4,000 lead in a year. New product rate, success rate increased from 35 to 50%. Percentage of patents in product increased from less than 10% to more than 50%. All of it because of open innovation. Sourcing ideas from outside. They were not sharing, as I said, but they were at least seeking ideas and paying for them. So this is the real power. This is where the large corporation has used it. Now, there is no reason why when a large multinational corporation can benefit from open innovation, we will not. There is no reason. So there are various efforts of open innovation, how to engage customers to design solutions, how to talk to the strangers for getting more ideas. There's a paper which came from in PNAS last year, or last year, this year maybe. Very interesting paper, talking to strangers for open innovation. So how do we do that? How do we do that? There are this is an example of an open source innovation. I mean, normally you have one tap, school has many children, kids are not able to drink water enough, so one person will pump, and then there are 7 kids who can drink water at the same time. We found it in Jharkhand, a very good open source. Large number of solutions of spraying pesticide, open source tools. So how can we do that? So basically aligning passion and purpose with process and leading to performance through platforms. So open source platforms are the way to go in future. That is the way future will be. And we will have to align our passion, align our purpose, build a good process. Without process, performance will not come about. A process has to be in place. So Techpedia, I told you about, we have a database, abundant patent database I told you about. This paper has come already. And a large opportunity that it gives you for looking at, and I'll share with you 2 cases here. One is, of course, obsolescence rate. So if you look at the obsolescence rate, means filing is low, abandonment is high. So if you look at which technologies are getting sunset, they are called sunset industry, they're becoming obsolete. So processing exposed photographic material apparatus. Now we don't need the exposer machine because people don't print photographs anymore with the classical system. So all those things, printing technologies, book binding and covers, and all those patents for that, aligning machines, they're all becoming obsolete. Average is 24%, and any number above that and much higher above that shows that this is a dying industry. So as you can see, number of abundant patent is 293, and the non-abundant, which are still valid, are only 114, and soon they will also be invalid. So it's very important tool to find out which industry is successful going up. And I'll show you a case of wastewater treatment. This database, as I told you already, is available at gyan.org. This is the data. I think I put the link somewhere. Gyan.org, if you go there, you will find it. And this shows that the patents for abundant patents are about 44 are undiscounted. That means the normal category corporate filing people who don't, not the discounted one are for small and micro. So micro level 3% who are able to maintain abundant patents. There are small are 43, and then large companies are able to abandon 54%. The question now arises: it's such an important environmental problem, and why have small companies not been able to maintain? Because there's not enough demand for this. We are all polluting our rivers, we are all polluting our ocean, we are all polluting our lakes, and they are not wanting to treat this water in a proper manner. So you also begin to see the sustainability paradox by looking at open databases. This open database you can all use and find. So basically merit in it. So finally, the link that we had shared with you earlier, a change not monitored is a change not desired. Now I will open it for the questions and comments. And yeah, thank you. ACSI 23 group add here. So all of you who want to share with the whole group should use this email address. Now we have a half an hour, and we should use this half an hour to go into 3 or 4 key questions. The first question is, you appreciate a great deal when you came to know about NIST and impact. What is preventing us for working more and more for open innovation? Why do we have much more secrecy in our culture? Within the lab, sometime among different groups, knowledge is not being shared. Am I right or wrong? Am I reading the culture differently, or is it true what I'm saying? Anyone?
It's true, sir. It's true.
True, sir.
How do we change that, Shagun? How do we change it? Why is there so much secrecy? What will we lose if somebody else comes to know of my research and how I'm solving problem? And even if I've done a mistake, and if I share with others how I did a mistake and how I learned from it, others will not do that mistake, isn't it? If we share our mistake, others will learn from our mistake. Why don't we share it? Shagun, what is your thought? Or anybody else for that matter? Why is there insecurity? Rohit? Why are we insecure? Why do we restrict sharing so much? Huh? Let us look at it positively now. How many of you have shared your drafts with others to comment on outside the group? Rohit, Ujjwal. You know, I'll tell you something. 1978, I was working at that time in Indian Institute of Public Administration, 78 to 81. And I was changing my discipline from molecular biology or genetics, biochemical genetics, to economics and public policy. So I was writing, I mean, I've never studied economics, so I was learning economics, and I had to learn very fast. I was doing research. So I wrote papers in 78, 88, 79, 4 papers. Then I tried to search who are the topmost people in the world doing research on credit, rural credit that I was working on. So I found Michael Lipton was one, Robert Bate was another, and there were 3 or 4 more other people. And I found some in India also. I will be very honest with you what happened. I got written comments of 1.5, 2 pages from abroad, but from India, except one, Professor Krishna Bhardwaj, who was at that time economics, very eminent professor at JNU, I didn't get much response from Indian scholars. They thought, here is a young fellow doing some research, why do we bother? And they didn't bother. But those 3 or 4 letters I got with detailed comments, page by page, and highlighting the good things, whatever they found as good, and boosting my confidence was very important landmark for my growth. I mean, when Yale University wrote to Namika whether they can publish her summary of her paper in their journal, the students wrote to her, surely for Namika. So it helps if you share your work widely, and then it gets noted, it gets attention because you've shared it widely. So I have benefited a great deal by putting all my papers in open source. No copyright, no Creative Commons license. Just use it the way you want to use. I don't care whether you cite me or not. But the fact is that a lot of people will cite you if you share them openly. You put them in research. How many of you put your papers in ResearchGate or academic.edu? Academia.edu? Rohit?
Sir, I do.
Sir, I do.
2,
3, sir, Shagun.
3, Shagun. Why so few? I don't understand. What do you lose?
I also post that.
Lipsa, but you know, you can, do you see the point? If you share your work openly, free downloadable, then
Yes.
more people will read your work, comment and feedback, and you will build good relationships, partnerships. So
Correct.
many of my friends, I mean, so many meaning 99% of my friends, professional friends, are obviously through my writings. How else? So very good, Sheshri. I appreciate that. That even your blogs, not just research papers, even blogs, even half-baked ideas, share them. And you never know how many people will read them. There was a paper I wrote on biodiversity register. More than 3,000 people read it. I mean, that was nice, but it helps. Don't care about publishers, please. Why do you care what publishers like or not? So long as you are publishing papers. I have never been asked. I can still publish with Springer. I can still publish with any journals, any author, any publishing group I want. Nobody has told me that because you have shared all your papers in open source, we will not take your journal or take your book for publication. Nobody has told me that. In fact, it gives you so much visibility that your citation rate goes up and people come to know of your work, and it gives you standing in the field. And of course, copyright paper, well, maybe for a young person they can say so. मुझे तो आज तक किसी ने कहा नहीं यार कि आपने copyright paper क्यों डाल दिया. I don't care. I just don't care. But I can agree that for young scholars, they may browbeat and ask them to remove. I have not removed. Whether it was MIT Journal on Innovations where I published in 2006 or other journals, no journal has written to me, or publisher of the journal has written to me that remove your paper. But I can understand your point. That when you are coming up, they may ask you to remove. Okay, remove it then in that case, if that supports you. But Verma, what did you say? It was taught as unethical. Sharing your paper on ResearchGate was called as unethical?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Several times in the class also, it was taught that we should not
Verma, can you
apply.
please speak up?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. Many times in the class also, it was taught that like something which is a copyright, we cannot put it in an academia or research.
We are losing your voice. Please, again, repeat the point.
Sir, once it is published
Repeat the
and we
point.
have given the copyright to the publisher, it cannot be.
Verma, we are not hearing you.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
No, we can hear him.
I'm not able. I'm not.
Probably, maybe. Am I audible, sir, right now?
Now you're audible.
Actually, sir, in the class, several times it was told also that publishing, whatever being like copyright were given to the publisher, right? So the copyright is with the publisher. Once we put it there, that is unethical, which has been taught in the research methodology. So it is a controversial thing whether we should
Yes, it
publish
is a
there or not.
controversial thing. It is a controversial thing. Harvard University, I'll show you just now. Harvard University insists that all papers published by their professors, let me just show you this. So Harvard has ODAP, which is for sharing the data. And then let me show you this, advancing open knowledge. They require this is a paper. Let me look at the policy. Harvard Open Access Project. Now look at this. Let me share this with you. So Harvard's policies, what does it say? All new faculty are asked to sign a participation agreement, essentially promising to live, what is that? Promising to live up to the university's copyright and patent policy. The Harvard Agreement now includes the provision. If I'm a faculty member of a faculty or school of university that has adopted open access policy, I confirm my grant to Harvard of non-exclusive license with respect to my scholarly articles as set forth in that policy. So Harvard has a right for all scholarly articles published by their faculty to be put in a depository which is open access. So, of course, when you are in Harvard, nobody will say no to your publication. That is true. I agree that there is a esteem and prestige associated with it, but that can come to you when you publish good and make your standing. So, without Harvard connection, also people have been able to share their knowledge. And I would say that this is something. If you're asked to exclude, remove, then it's a different matter. But I would strongly urge. Where is the?
But I think, sir, now while submitting your manuscript, there is one option, like you can submit it in preprint servers. There are many preprint servers that are available.
Yes, now there are a lot of preprint repositories, and they put all your papers in that.
Correct, sir. That will be in the repository, and they give the DOI number also for that until your paper gets released.
Correct. You're right, and that has made it very easy now for people to preprint papers. You are absolutely right. Absolutely right. That even the copyrighted journals don't mind preprint publication.
Yes, yes. Sir.
So it has found a way out between the copyright conditions and sharing provision. But I would say that there are many other ways. You can also share your either pre-publication, preprint, or sometime working paper, that pre-publication draft, which is like preprint. So that may not have gone through the editing of the journal, which is fine, but substantive results are the same. No change in the data takes place. So that's another way to do that. But I would say that an Indian policy is that when public money is used, you should share the data also and the publications also. because all of us use public money. So there is a policy emerging now within the country also that we should be able to share our work and our data also, not just work, openly. It has not become very popular, but it needs to become popular. Now let's go to the second question, which is sharing the data. Many times when you have worked on a problem and you want that data to be accessible to other students, other scholars, what is your response to that? How many of you have done that? अब्दुल वहीद, हंस रहे हो तुम, बताओ भाई, शेयर करते हो? अनम्यूट करो, आवाज
Yes,
नहीं आ
sir.
रही। हाँ,
Sir,
बोलो।
I have a different view. I mean, from the perspective of publishers, it should be accessible to all, because if I want to
No,
find
that
a
is
nature,
okay. Now we are looking at the data. The data that you generate is your property, correct? अभी
Yes,
तो
sir.
publisher को blame नहीं कर सकते ना डेटा के
no,
लिए।
no, no. For data, it is not, but for literature, I
So
think
tell me about data.
it's
I
very
mean,
difficult to find good papers freely available.
I shared all my 30-year data with Anamika, and she used for her thesis. And I'm so happy because I was not going to have time ever to process it again.
Yes, sir.
So I had learned myself. My job was to learn and get new insight, which I did. And then my job was over. So
Yes.
if you have, extracted value from your data, why keep it buried under your files? Let it be accessible to everybody else.
Yes, sir, and that is the way it can grow. Otherwise, because if you look at the IT sector, for example, computer science, so CS computer science has grown too much because of the open source thing.
Absolutely.
So, for example, Python has thousands of libraries, open source libraries that can be used by anyone and can be built to anything.
Correct.
So,
It's a good example, Abdul. It's a good example. But why don't we share our data? Let us say we have worked on 5 plants. We did some lot of analysis. We published maybe 10% of it. Generally, you don't publish all of your data, isn't it? There's much
Yes.
more data than you have than what you publish. So publishing is only of some distinctive results, but there are many other results which may be useful for somebody else into working on the
Yes.
same plant. Why don't we make a depository of all the data of our research and make it open access? Anybody can use it.
Yes,
With
we
due
can do that.
acknowledgement. Of course, they should cite you. I agree with that. I'm not denying that. Citation is okay, but we don't share. So how does knowledge grow? How do we become leader in the profession if we don't share? That is what I'm asking. Just as Nice Jorat has done, just as another lab was done, NCL, somebody had done. So if we can follow that model, how many of you have shared your data? Anybody who has shared the data?
Sir, in some cases, even if we require the ingest data, we request some of the one of the eminent scientists. So they have those plant data, actually whole genome sequence, and some other data. We have requested them. Not me, actually, not for my research work, but another girl. So actually, she has politely requested, so kindly share me your data so that I can include. So actually, they did not share the data.
And
So
it would not. Yeah,
so
I see your point. I see your point. But let us put it this way, Rosalind, that when our experience is negative, do we want to perpetuate negative experience, or do we want to convert that negative experience into positive by ourselves sharing our data at least?
yes, sir,
उन्होंने नहीं
I
किया।
myself share my data. Actually, she has faced that problem. I never faced those kind of issues.
नहीं, but what I'm saying is different. I'm saying if when you have data generated in your thesis, are you willing to share with others, other students, other scholars?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely.
How many of you have will be like to share? I mean, you have published your papers. That job is done. After that, you will move on in your life. You will work on other problems. Rohit is willing to share. How many others are willing to share? Why? What is holding us back? Dalita, Devrajan, बताइए जरा. What is holding us back? क्या है? Fear बताओ ना अपने. Let us discuss the fears that you have. If I share, this will happen, that will happen. What will happen? हाँ भाई, शशिकांत, क्या हो जाएगा? What is the worst that can happen if you share your data? Somebody will not acknowledge you. Is that what you think? But that will be plagiarism then, because you have the original data. You can always find out the plagiarism. So that is ruled out to my mind. How can anybody use your data without acknowledging you? That's not possible. Elizabeth, what is the fear? आवाज नहीं आ रही है, अनम्यूट करो हाँ बताओ.
So one thing that I have I have seen that I have heard about the experience of one senior who was they actually didn't that was their mistake. I'm supporting sharing of the data. There was their mistake. She was holding her data up to the 4th year, and when by the time of 5th year, already some work had been started and she couldn't publish her work only. So holding up data to themselves and not sharing anything or publishing their work of 4 years, or if they are not willing to publish their work on time, I feel like a lot of researchers are going on, and you are not helping, or you are not willing to publish it. So the one drawback I have seen that someone else get the same idea and they will work on it. The same thing, people are they are getting fear. They are getting scared about the same thing also. One thing is it will help others, but the one fear they have is that someone else will work on it and
No, I'm saying after, Elizabeth, after you finish your PhD, can you share after that?
After that you can share it. That will be helping the others.
But why don't we share after PhD?
I don't, I'm willing to share.
I'm recording all of it. You will be held responsible for your statement. So be careful. I'll keep this recording. I'll send a transcript to you.
Yeah,
And
sure,
I
sir.
want, I'm joking. I'm saying that more and more of you, I would like to commit to yourself, not to me, but commit to yourself that if there is a doubt whether to share or not, share, number one. Number two, if you have done your bit, if you have done your work, if you have published your paper, you have got your thesis, after that, if somebody takes that work forward, what is the harm? Unless you are going to work on the data again, I understand. Then you may like to keep it with you for some time. But if you're not going to work on that data again, why hold on to it? Let some other student take cues, and maybe something that you did not take into account, that person may like to take it forward, isn't it?
We have this culture under my supervisor. We have this culture my supervisor let the new students to go through the data of their seniors and come up with some ideas that is as a continuation of their work.
Good. That's very good. But I would say that you should share it even with other groups, I would say. What happens is that the insights, the tangential insights may sometimes occur to people unfamiliar with your purpose. And those tangential insights, which will of course be quoting your work, so your work becomes more popular, gets cited more often. And at the same time, yes, Devranjan, I understand the data may be some multi-stakeholder property. And Rohit is sharing that higher poaching probability. No, that's a very important point, Rohit, what you mentioned. When the data sharing exposes or makes your subject vulnerable, then you should not. I agree with you. That's a very important point. If people know the location of the tiger and they can poach them, then I don't think you should disclose the location. That's fair point. Very fair point. I completely agree with you on that issue, that we should only share it with great sense of responsibility, that it will be kept undecoded. I mean, in the sense that sometimes what happens, you may not have to decode the location for longitude and latitude. You just say broader point X, point Y, point Z, and some kind of habitat characteristic, but not the location characteristic. A landscape characteristic, but not the location characteristic. So, but anyway, I completely agree with your point that anything which jeopardizes the purpose of research, which is conservation, no, we will not share that. That's fair. That's a special case. But in general, I would say that if you have developed good methods of detection, good methods of tracking, or good methods of scat analysis, whatever else that you have done, it will be useful to share that. Any other viewpoint on sharing the, now I'll come to third point, and which is even more difficult than the first two. And I know it is not in your hand, it is in the hand of your advisor. But I know that many labs don't share even the equipment. Isn't it true? Have you heard about InSteam?
No, yes, not in our case as far as equipment. So many of the labs in our institute as well. So they hire equipment from us. They do register. So
Do you know about InSteam program of Government of India, DST? InSteam is a program under which all labs are supposed to share on their website what equipment they have and what is the cost of using that. So if there's somebody wanting to do NMR and you are charging 500 rupees for that, then you have to put on your website and anybody can come with a sample. Of course, they will have to be in the queue and they can get it analyzed in 500 rupees. So it's very important that we make our equipments and our analytical capabilities also accessible. Sometimes you only share the result, but not the interpretation. And that, of course, is useful also to add, particularly when there is a young researcher or a social organization. At that time, sharing interpretation is very important. Without that, the results will not make much sense to them who are not trained in the discipline. So this is another area where we find that sharing is much less. But how many of you have worked with the organizations in your research outside the lab, say either some NGO or some company or some entrepreneur or some startup? How many of you worked with actors outside your lab? Your research involves collaboration with either a startup or industry or an NGO or government for that matter. Are we working for our research with some industry? Either for testing or the problem has been defined by the industry or they're giving us their facilities for testing. Anybody? Because CSIR is very concerned about building linkages with users, with industry, and with social organizations.
So at MCL we have now we have common analytical facility. So they're like all the high-end equipments, instruments, they are all under common analytical facility. And we accept samples from industry as well on chargeable basis. So it's like not just under any project, but they can send, and then we also design like methodology also like for them. So it's like some sample is there. So if we need to run FTIR, NMR, GPC, and all other techniques what we have, so we suggest them many times that what other techniques you need to go for along with this one. So like that.
Okay, that's very good. The question is, do you have differential rate for a big industry or for a startup?
Yes, sir. We have different rate for industry and startup, and then academic institutes and students. So different categories are there.
Okay.
For industry, we charge more, and for academic institute, it is maybe half of that, and for students, even more concession is there rate.
Okay, very good. Very good. I think, can you mail us a list of the tests that are available with the rate list?
Yes, sir.
Or it is on the website?
We have already, yeah, it's analytical facilities there on NCL website homepage.
Very good. Very good.
We
Very
go
good.
there, then from there, I will just.
Yeah, that's very good. So that's very
Hi, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Mohit.
Sir, actually, I just want to discuss regarding these testing issues. Sir, actually, I'm a industry-sponsored PhD candidate. So I'm working in a medical device manufacturing company. So we are making the orthopedic implants for the bones, like knee joints, hip joints. So like from the last 8 years, I'm working here. So like, for example, cleaning is a very important aspect in the cases of orthopedic implants. So we need to slide the clean implant. So for that, like we need to do in like for the regulatory submissions, approvals, or the audits, we need to like present the reports, like cleaning reports. So basically, ISO have like various standards to do the cleaning, to test the cleaning level of the implants. So basically, these like gas chromatography techniques are used to do the cleaning. But sir, the issue is like in the each our IITs, in our CSIR, these equipments are available, but the like testing standards are not, like they are not aware actually, like how to do, like they know like how to operate the instrument, what to do, but what standard says like product specific, it is like a gap between industry and institute.
Have you
I
ever
used to do
contacted
testing in
have
Germany,
you
sir.
have you ever contacted Rohit Srivastav in IIT Bombay?
No, sir, no.
Do that. He heads a biomedical wing of IIT Bombay. He's a Bhatnagar fellow, a very helpful person, and you should approach him for this purpose, because he would not mind asking one of his students to look at the standards that you have against which you want the testing to be done. So there are some colleagues who are like that. They guide. Similarly, Bandhopadhyay in IIT Kanpur, he should also be able to help you. He is also reasonably open and willing to help young students. So you will find them on the Twitter, or at least Bandhopadhyay is regular on tweet, but Professor Srivastav, you will find him on the website, IIT website. Go to the biomedical side, you will find them. There are other people also who will help, but the problem that you're saying is very interesting, that the standard against which the measurement has to be done. Obviously, you don't expect people working in a different field to know those standards. So you have to share your standard against which you want to be tested. And I think that should not be a difficult task to do it. What is the challenge? I mean, if you give the standard, they will test it, isn't it?
Sir, yeah, challenge is only one actually. We already discussed, because in this like device industry, they people ask for ISO 17025. That is a good lab practice certification from
So
that
the
enable.
top labs of our country in IIT and IIT particularly are all NABL accredited lab. I don't think you should have any difficulty in that. That should not be a difficulty, but do write to them. Do get in touch. Amitabh Bandhopadhyay in IIT Kanpur and Rohit Srivastav in IIT Bombay. Most likely your problem will be solved if you write to them.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me come to the last question. We have only a few minutes left. So after a few years, you will be the leader of your discipline, maybe 10 years, maybe less. And you will be required to then shape the science policy, technology policy about open innovation. Anybody has any idea that if I had the power, I would like to build a system like this? You want to suggest what kind of system would you like to build so that it becomes easier for people, for civil society organizations, NGOs, farmers, artisans, mechanics, healers in the tribal areas, tribal communities, all of them to work with you? What is the way? How would you promote that? Knowledge is produced not just in the lab, it also produced in the field. You agree? So how would you open up the system to build such linkages more often? How would you create that open innovation models? Your solution should go to those people, and the problems of those people or the insight of those people come to you. What is the connection? How many of you decided your research problem yourself, or your guide decided your problem? I would like to do we don't have enough time to do a poll, but how many of you decided your problem yourself, not by the guide? Just raise hand. Your guide didn't decide the problem, you decided. Rohit, you decided, okay. Anybody else? Who decided the problem? Asha. Okay. WI seems to be more liberal. Anybody else? Nidhi? Nidhi, can you tell us about how did you choose your problem? Because if that process, Aishwarya, you can also mention. We want to know a little bit in a few minutes. What should we do so that if we increase your exposure to the community knowledge and community norms, then we don't have to worry about whether guide will permit or not, because then you can decide yourself. So tell us about how did you decide? Rahul, Aishwarya, Baswaraj, Devranjan, some of you who have decided the problem yourself, Can you tell us how did you do that? Why? How did you choose the problem?
Yes, sir. I have also decided myself, sir.
So how did you do that? Your guide
Sir,
allowed
actually,
you to...
earlier, sir, I was working. Actually, I am a scientist at CSIO Chandigarh, and before I was from last 2-3 years, I was working on a project related to atomic force microscope, and during that working on the project, sir, I found that there is a research gap in that. So I took the project myself, and I had problem. Then I had problem in deciding the guide. Whom should I take the guide? Actually, I was not finding the one which is working directly on the problem. So I took the co-guide from other institute, who is still somewhat related to that, and guide is also no, I have taken a guide from my own institute, as I had to take that.
Correct.
And
that's a very good
so
process that you mentioned. I appreciate this, that if you can have co-guide from a person, co-guide as a person who knows that field, and a guide who will let you collaborate with that expert outside, then a real good research can be done, and you know the gap, so you did it. Anybody else would like to share one more example? So we can then understand how to influence the gap that exists in society to come on your table. And a course like this can contribute to this process. Because tomorrow when we share the stories of Shodhyatra, we'd like to bring some of the gaps that we have come across in our Shodhyatra to you. And maybe some of you will take up those problems. So anybody else want to share just how did you select your problem? Rahul? Aishwarya? Anybody else? Tell us briefly, how did you select your problem? How did you find the problem, and how did you select the guide, and how did you guide your permit, whether you had a co-guide or that person allowed you to pursue? Rahul, Aishwarya, Baswaraj, Nikhil, anybody else wants to share? Those who have mentioned here, any one of you would like to share? Shagun, why don't you tell us? Amanpreet?
So, sir, this
Priya?
is Ramakan from
Bolo.
CSIR Sri Pilani. So, similar approach I adopt as Vikas told us. So, as I have done my project in my MTech, I have done my MTech from IIT PHU. So, I have done my work on piezoelectric material and piezoelectric devices like that. So, after the joining that series, I was searching for the PhD topic same as the piezoelectricity and piezoelectric devices. So accordingly, I searched that similar guide. So I got a same field guide in CSIR Sri Pilani, and co-guide I choose from BITS Pilani. So same as the other Vikas. So this
Okay,
is my
that's
approach.
very guide, very nice, because this then helps you to I will share with you one website. If you find time, you could look it up, and have your own questions to share. So here the information is given about the Shodhyatra that is proposed in Kifre, Nagaland from 18 to 24, and also the Shodhyatras that we have had so far. You will find reports of these. So I'm sharing that link with you. And if you get time to browse through any one of them or more of them as you have interest, you can go through them. So sashi.org/Shodhyatra, and there are 47, 48 reports, maybe up now, if not 49. And 49 is not there, 47 or 48. And we will discuss how, by going to the communities, by working with them, by living with them, we learn about their unmet needs as well as their innovations. And if some of you feel that you have interest in that, join us and see whether you can contribute to the process of learning and sharing both. So if anybody from Nagaland here, any student from Nagaland? No? But if you know of some students who are not in the class, but you think they are from, you know that they are from Nagaland, do let us know, because we would very much wish to draw upon their connects and their strength for our next Shodh Yatra in Kifre district in Nagaland, where Gyan is also working very closely with communities. So it will be helping us. And if some of you are interested in the analysis of Northeastern products, as you mentioned, Lipsa had mentioned, then we have got 30 kinds of Rajma found in Kifre. And we would very much wish if somebody could do a complete analysis of vitamins, nutrients. She mentioned yesterday that you saw 5 of them have very high iron content. So we want to know what else is there in these varieties which may fetch them better price in future. So please write to us offering your interest in this matter, and then we can tie up and get the material sent to you, because yesterday almost 160 of you wanted to collaborate with communities and work with them and take up one of the knowledge of the community or your elders for validation. So let us not lose track of that discussion of yesterday and concretize it, so that by the time we come to the synopsis, either as a part of your project or otherwise, whichever way you want to pursue, do let us know. So see you tomorrow at 5:30. At 5:45, we will have Professor Samir Brahmachari. We'll take a small break from the Shodh Yatra and discuss with him his experience on OSDD. And I'll tell him that he can make a compressed presentation of about 30 minutes and then take your questions. All right? Yes, Priya, please go ahead. All your work that you are doing will be counted for your society. I don't know what your specific question is, but if you write to us with your proposal, are you referring to the proposal that you shared? Your presentation during 20th, 21st, 22nd will be counted, but you have to submit a report. Just PPT will not suffice. You have to submit it.
Sir, written report we have to submit?
Yes, written report has to be submitted by every group. And if you want to see some sample, we'll circulate it to you. So you can see some of the good report that have been submitted.
A written report
so please provide us with sample.
CSIR or
Yes,
to
I
the
will do that.
institution?
Sorry?
Sir, a written report we have to submit to institution, na?
Also, and also to us.
Okay.
Both.
Okay,
Sometimes your institution wants our feedback before they...
Report.
I couldn't follow, Nitika. Can you repeat?
Sir, which topic we have to submit in the report?
The topic you will
On which
decide.
topic?
The topic that you will decide should be of larger societal interest, preferably problem that society is facing. And on 20th, 21st, 22nd, these 3 days that we have kept for presentation of synopsis by you. In some cases, if you have selected a problem and you want to change it later after a few weeks, we will be flexible on that regard. So if you have not finalized completely, that's all right. But at least you have to mention why you chose this problem and how do you want to address it. So this will what? Sorry?
21st December?
20th, 21st, 22nd, 3 days I think we have kept in the calendar. Let me confirm. 3 days, because we can't have all the presentation in one class. It's not going to be possible. So groups of, let us say, if there are 500 students, 400 to 500, and there are a group of 5, we have about 60 groups or 80 groups, depending upon how many of members are. Generally, 5 are there in one group, or 5 or 6. So then, yes, we have a class on 20th and 22nd. Is that right? And 21st, I'll check up. But 20th, 22nd, I'm seeing here, 5:30 to 7:30. Those classes, if need be, we will extend a little further, because we want to give all of you a chance to circulate. I will circulate the report, Baswaraj. I'll share with you some of the very good reports, though every report can be improved further, no doubt about it. All right?
So how groups are going to be formed?
You will choose the group. We don't mind if you make interinstitutional group also. Up to you. Choice is yours. You constitute your group If you want to make interinstitutional group, most welcome.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good
night, sir. Good night.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you.
ऐसे करो सर, कल मॉर्निंग में उठवा दो, नहीं फिर वो कहीं से गौरव सर को फोन करना, सर क्या